This is Akashvani. Good evening, listeners. We welcome you to our weekly program in English. We shall now listen to an interview titled The Harmonious Convergence of Nada and Raga with Dr. Radha Bhaskar, musicologist, teacher, and a journalist. She is interviewed by Shri Shankar Venkatraman, a music enthusiast.
Good evening, listeners. In today's program, we are going to have a talk show with a multifaceted personality, Dr. Mrs. Radha Bhaskar, a unique combination of a musicologist, vocal musician, teacher, journalist, music educator, culinary expert, and a cultural organizer too. She is a recipient of the Junior and Senior Fellowship from the Ministry of Culture and also the prestigious Tagore National Fellowship for Cultural Research. She has been the editor of the Fine Arts magazine for over 18 years. A senior disciple of veteran musician P.S. Narayanaswamy. Namaskaram, madam.
Namaskaram.
We are extremely happy to welcome you to this talk show. Today's topic is the harmonious convergence of Nada and Raga. Just like the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, the holy rivers at Prayagraj, the harmonious convergence of Nada and Raga refers to the foundation of Indian classical music, where the nada or the sound, which is the spiritual essence, is expressed through raga or the melody, which is the vaya media. In short, we can say when the laya or nada meets raga or sound, the end product is a beautiful jatiswaram, nothing but a foot tapping note. Madam, can you just give a brief note on your musical journey?
My musical journey, actually, the first thing I would like to say is that I don't belong to a music family, and it's God's blessing only that I'm here in very many ways, as you mentioned also. So my journey actually began in Calcutta with my learning from Srimati Jaya Shankar. But what I would like to just share here is that rather than going through the entire canvas of my journey, is that the spark or the desire to keep learning has always been there in me. So from my childhood, I've been watching all the stalwarts come and perform in my birthplace, Kolkata, where I was there as I grew up, and I had my childhood and then did my schooling. So all along it was like wanting to do something in music, and always you could have also seen that my bent of mind has also been in the area of research. So I just didn't want to be a performing musician, but also a thinking musician in terms of being a researcher. So by God's grace, then I came to Chennai, and then I did my BA and then my master's and my PhD all in the Madras University. So parallelly, I would say that my musical journey has been such that I've been pursuing my practical aspect as a concert performer and also as a researcher. And more importantly, my aim has been to share my whatever little knowledge that I have with the listeners of music, the rasikas. So that is where I also would like to make a mention of the music appreciation programs, which have been going on for very many years, where I've tried to kind of enlighten rasikas on what they are hearing in a concert. So that has been the main area. Of course, other areas, because of my penchant or my passion for journalism, is running a magazine.
Being a percussion artist, I think it would have been a wonderful journey for you.
Definitely, yes, because as I said that my intense knowledge and intense getting into music as such began with my marriage to my husband, Radha Bhaskar. He is a mridangam artist. His love for organizing events, that too. Our organization is well known, I would say, for doing thought-provoking programs rather than doing just general kacheris. We have done a lot of innovative thematic presentations, conferences, seminars, where we try to enlighten rasikas on the finer nuances of the music, because I strongly believe that unless you bring them into the fold of music through a process of enriching and enlightenment, it will remain at a fundamental level of entertainment only. And our music, as you know, and I also strongly believe that it is much about enrichment. So in that sense, our organization also has been very instrumental, I would say, in terms of elevating the taste of rasikas in very many ways.
You said you had your initial musical journey in Kolkata. Why not the audience have a treat of some Bengali songs?
Of course, Bengali songs have been an integral part of my learning also, because as you know that in schools in Kolkata, this Rabindra Sangeet and other things were a part of our learning process itself. So I'd just like to present two lines of a very favorite song about our own country, a very beautiful song. ধনু ধান্যে পুষ্পে ভরা আমাদের বসুন্ধরা, তাহার মাঝে আছে দেশ এক, সকল দেশে সেরা। সে যে স্বপ্ন দিয়ে তৈরি, সে যে স্মৃতি দিয়ে ঘেরা। It's a very beautiful song which talks about the world and our nation as being a pride in that particular global this thing, and that's a song. There are many such beautiful songs which I've learned.
Can you just add one more?
I can probably sing you Bhang also, because I always believe that music is not confined to one particular genre or particular area. And I've always enjoyed, learning folk songs, learning songs in Marathi, Hindi. Maybe I'll just sing very popular bhajan which is there in Maharashtra. उठ पंढरीचा राजा, काल वेळ झाला. उठ पंढरीचा राजा, काल वेळ झाला. तवा वैष्णवांच्या दारी दर्शनाची आला, दर्शनाची आला. उठ पंढरीचा राजा. You must have known that abhangs are a part of the devotional journey that people undertake to Pandharpur. Like this folk songs also I love. In fact, I love listening to a lot of film music, everything, because I always believe that there is always some good takeaway from any system of music.
So you just justified our topic. Just a harmonious convergence of nada and raga.
So everything is all about nada only, and
Definitely.
sound, the beautiful sound of music.
Music is a disciplined practice or a sadhana. So as a performer, as a guru and as a rasika, your views.
First of all, whether you're a guru or a rasika or a student, the basic things is the passion to learn. That is the basic bare requirement. I think hard work, practice, all this comes later. So for a guru, as you asked, the passion to teach should be there first. All my students say that they love to learn from me because of the passion which I kind of transmit into them. So I think that's the success of a teacher also. Next thing is, of course, updating yourself. It's very important for a teacher. So I would rather say that through the whole learning, teaching process, I have learnt a lot. So I also believe that every class should be a learning process, not only for the student, but also for the teacher. So at the end of the class, I always feel that, okay, I have also learned something. And I love students who really motivate me to learn more. So they say, why don't you teach me this? Why don't you teach me that? So that also makes me learn. So that way, I think a guru has to be always updating the knowledge. And that's where, when you think that you know it all, you become stale and you don't stay fresh anymore. So that is there. And this, I believe, for my practical aspect you've been asking, so that's there. For a student, again, first thing is, of course, that passion for music, for learning. But then regular practice is very, very important. In Carnatic music, there is no shortcut. You can just listen to a film music probably, and because of some inherent talent in you, you can replicate it. But our music is not about replication. It's more about creativity. So when that creative element comes in, you have to really work a lot. And it is two things have to go parallelly for a student. One is the listening process, listening to all the great stalwarts, listening to what your guru is teaching. And secondly, of course, practicing. And the third most important thing I would say is the process of introspection. That is what you have learned, to assimilate it and to introspect it. That's very, very important in terms of seeing where you stand. And also, of course, for a student, he should know his strength and limitation. Both are there. That's what makes you a great performer also, because you kind of encash on your strengths, and then whatever everybody has got limitation. Even any stalwart you take, they may have a limitation in terms of the voice, in terms of the range, something will be there. But they did not bother about that, but try to make the best of what was their strength. So that is the next thing. For the last thing about the rasikas, I would say that coming to the concert hall, sitting and listening to the artist live, and trying to connect with the performer is one of the greatest first step. And secondly, of course, I always, because I was talking about my music appreciation program also, many rasikas have a feeling that once they come to the concert and they identify a ragam and say that some composition is Kalyani, oh, I know it's Kalyani, oh, I know it's Latangi, oh, no, it's Bhairavi, and that's all. After that, they kind of, go into their own thought process and don't even listen to the performer. But concert, I would say, is a continuous and active kind of activity where you have to connect at every point of time. I'd just like to give you a small example here for a better understanding of this. Unlike other art, how our classical music demands that active participation in every moment. Suppose you take a painting, for example. In a painting, what we do, the artist paints the picture. And probably he would put it across in a gallery or somewhere and you go and view it. You don't sit through the artist when he paints every stroke and then every color and watch him as he paints the picture. So the end product is given to you and you enjoy it as an art. But classical music is something where you can't say, let the musician finish singing and then I'll enjoy. It doesn't happen like that. What I say, like, you have to take part in every stroke the artist paints in the canvas of silence. That's what I say. So
Every
the silence
second
is the
counts.
canvas here in music, and through his voice or through the medium of instrument, he paints the strokes. So for you to enjoy, you have to be a part of the whole painting process in terms of music. So that is why we also say that though we have so much of technology coming in here today, we say that the live connect which an artist can get with a audience in front is something immeasurable. And of course, not to mention the applause which comes, at the end. Everybody says that whatever you're paid, this reciprocation from the audience is something which we value most. Actually.
Immediate feedback.
Immediate feedback, yeah.
That's really fantastic. So you cannot brush aside
Yeah.
in this case.
Yeah, I like that.
Your views on instrumental music, because in the case of vocal, we are able to express through words,
Yes.
but which is missing in instrumental.
Yeah.
Unless the swara aksharam or the syllable, which might go gel with the audience.
This has two sides to it, I would say.
Yeah.
First thing is that, yes, as you rightly said, there is no sahitya element here, in the sense that verbally we are not able to give out the sahityam. So in that sense, I would recall great instrumentalists like Lalgudi Jayaraman sir, who would kind of replicate the vocal bani in the instrument. So sometimes when you know the song, you can actually hear the song through the instrument.
Probably
so
that is known as that Gayaki style.
Gayaki style, yes, the vocal bani. So that is something some people do follow. Though this is there, the absence of sahitya is there, I would also say that to a layman, this is more an advantage in the sense that in the absence of any lyrics, probably it may be dedicated to Muruga, Ganesha or anything. This kind of music sans lyrics makes the melody predominant there. So all you're hearing is the nada which you're talking about. So it's only about the nada and the raga that comes to you. So sometimes it's also bliss, I would say, not to get entangled into the sahitya. Because I would also say, there are some rasikas, they move away from the music in the search for the connection with the sahitya. For example, when I say ka va va kanda va va yenne, so halfway when I'm doing Varali, they'll go to Palani. So thinking about the Muruga there. So what happens is that enjoyment of music in the entire process goes off when it is also bound by lyrics. There are two sides of a coin actually. So that way instrumental music is also in a way better in the sense that you're just enjoying the melody. But here I would also like to bring the another latest development here in terms of some instrumentalists who have devised certain compositions exclusively to bring out the excellence of the instrument. So they do not play the kind of vocal music that we are talking about. There are special creations made for instrumental music. Now, for example, I could give you Ganesh Kumresh himself or Rajesh Vaidya, for example, who have created special pieces for the instrument. So the idea is to explore the entire potential of the instrument rather
You mean
than the
exclusively for that?
Exclusively.
Okay.
So means that there won't be any sahitya in that. It will be like tananana or tatatata, that kind of soul will be the demarcation for that. There may not be any sahitya also, but there's a rhythm and melody coming together to form a composition. So here what is the advantage is that while in the vocal bani, you know that we have only the middle range and then a bit of the lower and upper range that we do. But here we see that the entire range of maybe 3 octaves or 3.5 octaves which the instrument is supposed to be able to produce, all that can be explored. Or special techniques which are part of the instrument that can be brought out in an instrumental kind of a
So
composition.
that doesn't require any lyrics at all.
Yeah, there's no
Correct.
need of lyrics.
Very
But
true.
then we are all as Rasika so tuned, to the mind
Perfect.
that we are only bound by the lyrics and the song. So most of them, even today, they follow this particular style.
We will just dwell somewhat deep into the emotional aspects Let us take Carnatic music. Some people say that ragas have therapeutic effects like reducing stress and strain, reducing tension, lowering one's blood pressure, and so on. Can you just briefly bring out some of the moods of ragas which has a direct or indirect impact on the listeners? For example, some ragas make you cry, make you emotional, make you enjoy.
This is a very, very interesting question, which may be of very great interest, I would say, to a normal listener of music also. But I would also like to reiterate the point that we do not have any scientific evidence about that this raga cures, reduces blood pressure, or this raga helps you avoid heart attack and keeps your heart healthy and all that. So I don't subscribe to this view. Let me make that point very clear here. But generally, what I would like to say that any good music actually can penetrate into you and leave a lasting impact.
Very true.
So I would also not say that it's only all about Carnatic music. Any good film music, folk music, Hindustani music.
Yeah. I'll be coming to that.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
whatever the music is, of course, again, also another point on a lighter vein, I would say that though you may say that Sahana is very soothing to the ear and it can calm you down, a very badly rendered Sahana can really put you off also. So that way, the point is about how we render that particular composition or the song. That's the first thing. Nevertheless, we can definitely affirmatively say that certain ragas evoke a certain kind of an emotion in us. That's for sure. For example, as you say, and why is it so? That's the point here. Because again, it's inherent combination of the notes. For example, scientifically, if you look at it, Shuddha Rishabha or ordinary Sadharana Gandhara, what we call as the lower varieties of notes, they create some kind of a pathos and some kind of a different feel compared to what we call as the Dirgha Swaras in our music. I'll give you a very, very small example for this since you asked. Take Mohanam, for example. Sa-ri-ga pa-da-sa, sa-da-pa-ga-ri-sa. So Mohanam is generally supposed to be a very jolly ragam, a very happy ragam. Mohanam itself means beautiful. And all the songs in that you see that are very beautiful actually and very lively and kind of, very bubbly, I would say. This ragam like na na ra ra ta ta ra ra ri na ra na. Coming back to the notes, for anybody to understand, so the same thing, sa ri ga pa da sa, that ga, if I replace with a smaller ga and make it like sa ri ga pa da sa, makes it Shivaranjani. Where what happens is that just the change of one note can change the very emotion of the ragam itself.
Sure,
like,
the mood itself changes.
Mood, so
Sure.
குறையொன்றுமில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா குறையொன்றுமில்லை கண்ணா. To that too. கோபிகா மனோகரம் பஜேகம் கோவர்தன கிரிதரம். So one small note can really change the entire mood of the composition itself.
Definitely.
And of course, as you said, Sahana, like Sahana and all are very supposed to be very kind of gentle ragams, like tada ra ra na ra chitam இறங்காதேனையா செந்தில் வேலையனின். Here, I would like to just add one thing. There is also nothing like an attribute that this ragam is aggressive or this ragam is sober.
Sure.
Athana, generally, you say that it is a kind of a very bold ragam,
Bold,
like
yeah.
Sri Maha Ganapatim Bajeham.
Normally it comes with a bang.
But
Yes.
I will.
At the same
Now
time.
you'll change your view.
Yeah.
நீரங்காயனில் புகழ் ஏதே அம்பனிகில ஜெகன் மார்பில். Where you saw that நீரங்காயனில் புகழேது is pleading. So there is nothing like this is what particular ragam represents, or this is the emotion. And again, as our music is strongly based on sahitya, the sahitya also determines what emotion is going to be conveyed by the ragam. So there are different things.
Sure.
Coming to the Hindustani aspect, here again we see that it is the same system in terms of the notes. We have the same variety of notes. They also have the same variety of notes. The compositional rendering or the structuring is different. Like we have the kritis, they have what we call as a khyal. But one major point I would like to just make a mention, why for a layman this and that sound different. So you are saying that it's all the same notes, it's the same reed, the same guards, the same ma. So how does it sound different? Or how do you identify that this is Carnatic and this is Hindustani? That's mainly because of the gamaka that we are using. That is what is the main thing here.
Is it correct to say that voice culture is given more importance in Hindustani than Carnatic music?
No, I disagree with you, because today our musicians are very, very conscious about their voice culture. We have got some of the finest voices coming in now, and we are also giving a lot of importance to training the voice. So that's not the point. I also understand the viewpoint from which you're asking, in the sense that they have a lot of what we call as more of the pure notes, whereas ours is more based on what we call as a kampita. To put it very simply, ours, the oscillations are much, whereas in their system, the glides are more. For example, I'll just give you a small example. Shubha Pantarali, which is parallelly there in our music and their music also. So, like, Sa-ri-ga ma pa-da-ni-sa sa-ni-da-pa-ma-ga-re-sa. Interestingly, talking about Dikshadhar, here I must make a mention, because he is one musician who traveled to Varanasi, stayed there for 5 years, and he got his training in Hindustani music and also listened to a lot of Hindustani music. So the influence of Hindustani music is also seen in his music itself. So I don't even need to go to take a Hindustani khyal to explain this to you. So this is again a very beautiful point for us to understand how in the South Indian system itself we are able to see the beautiful contrast of the same ragam handled as the Carnatic and Hindustani. For example, if you take Tyagaraja, same ragam, I'm singing a composition of Tyagaraja and Dikshadhar for you to understand.
But in the same raga.
Same ragam, same scale, everything is same. So, Yennalu rege yundu jutamu yavaru adigevaru leda shirama. I'll sing the other one for you and just explain very in one line. Shri Sagatya Narayanam Upasmahe Nityam. So the two contemporaries, I would say, have used the same raga in 2 dimensions. Very simple to make you understand. The first song was more about what we call as kampita, like na to Dikshadhar I think I have made it very clear to you that from the Jaru, and especially in the Anupallavi, there are more demonstrative ways here, like Vasavadi Pujitam, which follows very much the Hindustani pattern. So basically, it's more about the way the notes are oscillated that makes a difference.
Tempo.
Not also tempo. They also do very high speed tempo. There is again, it's a process of acceleration. There's a difference where in our system, it's always very mathematical, I would say, in the sense that first speed, then the second speed will be exactly double. But in the khyal process, which they do, it's a process of acceleration. So slowly it will culminate into the faster speed. So each system operates on a different principles. But nevertheless, I would make a point that, I mean, of course, they also use the kampitam. It's not that they don't use, there are Dashaveda Gamakas we call. But the predominance of one makes it sound different from what we are doing. That's the thing.
On a joyous note, can you just sing a few ragas like Dujavanti?
Dvajavanti is not a very joyous raga. It's a very blissful and serene raga, according to me, actually. Joyous means we can just think about some beautiful notice for us that Dikshadhar has done just for fun, like I would say for children to enjoy the music.
Sure.
You must be aware of those notice for us that he was actually influenced by the Western band which was playing. He lived at the time when the Britishers were ruling India. So at that time he was influenced by the band at Fort St. George, and the same Shankarabharanam which he has used so classically in, like, say, Akshaya Ling Gari Bhoga Swayam Bo Tadarana Re Re No Re To Shakti Sahita Ganapatim Shankaradi Sevitam Virakta Sakala Munivara Suraraja Vinuta Guru Guham. Or another song, Varalila Gana Lola Surapala Suguna Jala, created by our Tyagarajar. Here again, Shamale Meenakshi Sundareshwara Sakshi Shankari Guru Guha Samudbhave Shiveva. Here I'd just like to add one point here about the notice for us, which may be of interest to the rasikas, that as I mentioned, all of them are based on the raga Shankarabharanam. But there's a difference between the scale of Shankarabharanam and raga as Shankarabharanam. So Akshayalinga Vibho, I would say, is a raga personified, whereas a scale like Sa Ri Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa Sa Ni Da Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa. That is the first thing. He has used it as a Western scale, as the major scale, what we call. Secondly, I would also like to add here that among the about 30 odd songs that he has done, very interestingly, he has covered the entire gamut of our Hindu gods, right from Ganesha, if you start, Murugar, Shiva, Ambal, then Hanuman. There is also a song on Maya. There is one beautiful song. So what is the point here is that I would also say that through this medium of simple songs, he not only inculcated or tried to inculcate music into children, but also some values about the cultural aspects, about the religious aspects of our Hindu pantheon or the gods, I would say. So all the gods also, once you learn the songs, you also get to know about all the gods in a very simple way. And all these songs are only 2-liners, so that children can sing it. It's not as big like a Akshayalinga Vibho that I was talking, which runs into paragraphs. So there's how the musicians have also thought so beautifully. Yesterday, in fact, I was doing a program for Tyagaraja Aradhana where with my students, I did a lot of his works, covering all his works, where when we're trying to explore into the Divyanama Sankirtana, we saw that it is, where it is not about trying to explain the grammar of music or giving the art of music, but rather to make everybody sing along. So the whole idea of the composer like Tyagaraja creating a Divyanama here is about bringing everybody into the fold of music. So its music is for all. That's the first philosophy I think that he is trying to communicate. Secondly, about that through music, how we can reach God. The Bhakti Marga can be very easily reached through music. And his compositions are also such that, like yesterday I sang, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manoharama, Yela Nidaya, Intaina Radaya, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manoharama. So where the point here is that whether you know Sahana, whether you know Abhogi or Bhairavi, you don't even know to know them, but you can sing along. That is the kind of melody they've created so that everybody becomes a part of the music.
And enjoy the music.
Exactly.
That's the main.
It's
how language, because already we have seen emotions and all that, how language do affect this Nada and Raga combo?
Very interesting question again. Again, there are two views on this.
It can be a multilingual.
First thing, of course, as a musicologist, I have one view that music itself can be a language. So there need not be any language in terms of enjoying music. And this you can obviously see in the many areas of Carnatic music itself, like a Raga Alapana or a Kalpanaswaram, where you really don't have any lyrics as such to convey the music. But nevertheless, you do enjoy it. So that is one aspect. But coming to the language aspect, definitely I would say that an understanding of the language to some extent enhances your listening ability or enjoyment also, I would say, for that matter.
So language is not a barrier at all.
Not at all a barrier. So long as I said you don't dwell too much into it and get lost so much into it that you forget the melody. So again, for a listener, it's striking a perfect balance in the listening process of the lyrics and the melody and the rhythm also in that, for that matter. It's very, very important for us to understand how these great saints and Vagekaras have really contributed towards language also in terms of creating a composition. So if you look years back, Tirupugar is a classic example, I would say, where he has used very, very beautiful words. And here we see that the words are most important. Again, in some compositions, we say that the melody is important.
Sure.
In some compositions, the rhythm is important. Some compositions, the language becomes important. So it also depends on what the composition is all about. So talking about Tirupugar, as you asked here, where we call as the Chanda Talam. So where the meter is very, very important. For example, if I take like Oru Poludum Iru Charanane தேவை துணரேனே உனது பழனி மலையெனும் ஊரை சேவி தரியேனே. So if you translate this into Chandam, tana tanana tana tanana tana 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 tana. Another of his Niramaya Puratana Para Paravaramrita Nirakula Chiradiga Prapayagi Tana 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 Tana. Like this, where you see that he is a Chanda Pavala Perumar. You know that he has been given the name also. So many Chandams. And such a master of rhythm that after so many years also none were able to replicate any of this again. So that is the greatness of his.
So that
that's
poet Arunagirinatha has just transformed that nada through that raga to reach the audience.
Absolutely.
Even a layman can understand.
Yes. And the talam or the chanda talam, the rhythm or meter that he created, was a beautiful vehicle to take nada across also. That is what we could say. So then coming a few years later, we see that in the time of the Trinity, that is very, very important. As a musicologist, I would like to share that also here, that where before their time, Sadashiva Brahmendra, Purandara Dasar, Annamacharya, they all created what we call as a kirtanas, where the lyrics were very, very important. So you would also see that there would be a pallavi and then a repetitive kind of tunes in all the charanam. But with the coming in of the Trinity, we see that a lot of art music where the raga also became very, very important. New ragas emerged, new ways of looking at ragas emerged. So that is a different subject. Coming back to the language aspect again, Tamil again has been really given an exalted status, I would say, by many, many composers. And two composers, very importantly, I would like to make a mention is, of course, Papanasam Sivan. Padame Tune Paramashiva Malar Padame Tune Unnai Allal Vere Gatileyamma. Like this, we can keep going on and on. He has composed so many compositions. Another beautiful composition which comes to my mind is Maramanan, O Maramanan, Malaradi, Panimaname, Diname, Maramanan. Like this, we see that Papanasham Shivan has given us again compositions on various deities. That's also very important. Any deity you name, and in fact, very peculiar aspects of his compositions. One song is there, Aandavan Anbe Shakti Tarum, Aandavan Anbe Buddhi Tarum, where in that particular composition you would also see the unique approach of the composer, where he does not refer to any particular god. He, throughout the composition, he uses the word 4-5 paragraphs where Aandavan Anbe. So where he mentions God, I'd say that first, he does not refer to any particular deity. Secondly, also not to any religion. Sure. So this can be applied to all faiths, can be used for singing this song actually. So that's a very beautiful approach. And interestingly also, Vinayakar, we always sing as the invocatory piece. Shivan has composed a Mangalam on Vinayakar, interestingly. So like, Vigna Vinayaka Murtik Mangalam. Again, coming back to Papanasam Shivan, he has composed even a beautiful lullaby. See the thought process of the composer, like Kanne en kanmaniye Kannane kanvalarai Kanne en kanmaniye Kannane kanvalarai மண்ணுலகில் என் வாழ்வு வளம் பெறவல் துதித்தாய் கண்ணே என் கண்மணியே கண்ணனே கண்வளராய். So like this various themes he has composed on Mahatma Gandhi, he's composed on Subramanya Bharati, like this so many compositions he has done.
I think your lullaby would have put all the listeners to sleep by this time.
It is a very beautiful
Very
one.
beautiful one.
Very beautiful
and
one.
very soft and sweet.
Very sweet. Then like that, another composer I would like to make a very important contribution in the Tamil itself is Kotiswara Iyer, where you see that where we have 72 Melagartha ragas technically here.
Sure.
They are all scales. So to give life to the scale, you need a composition. So he was one of the phenomenal composed compositions on the 72 ragas.
In
so,
Tamil.
In Tamil. And on Lord Muruga. That is another important thing. So a great contribution. Like for example, if you take a very popular composition, Arul Sheyya Venum Mayya Arase Murugayya Ni Arul Sheyya Venum Mayya Arase Murugayya Ni Arul Sheyya Venum Ayya. In Rasika Priya, the same parallel Shuddha Madhyamam Ragam. Why I am sharing this is that there's only a difference of one Madhyama in these two. The Chalanata, which is 36, and Rasika Priya, which is the 72. But the mood is so very, very different. That's the genius of the composer, where it's about Ye Dayya Geti. He's telling that I don't have any other person or any other refuge other than you. See the mood here, the same thing. Sari ga ma pada ni sa is Chalanata. Sari ga ma. That much only difference between the two. But here, Ye Dayya Geti. Yenake Dayagati Yenake Dayagati. Let's go to a bit to the folk, the Kavadi Chind and other things. Like Aranumagi, Hariyumagi, Avargalikko Sutanumagi, Avani Midil Vanduditta Meyane. Annamalai Reddyar. Like this, so many people have contributed to the folk music also. Pure art music, we have what we call as a Varnam, Tilana and other things, which do not give importance to the language as such, but where the melody becomes very predominant. So I would also say that our Carnatic music coming back is a beautiful, holistic system, I would say, in terms of where the nada, the topic of our discussion itself, nada is manifest in so many different ways. First, of course, the raga is important to manifest that nada, but you also see the different compositional genres, right from, you see, we were talking today about the Varnam, the Kriti, the Kirtana, the Tillana, Ashtabadi, Tevaram, Tirupugal, Kavadi Chinde, and so many things are there here. So each compositional form also gives, or rather manifests the nada in very many different ways, and that's why we also have different varieties. Talking about a concert where we have a variety fair of items. Again, the topic is so pertinent, I would say, because it is nothing but the nada and the raga manifest in different ways, which gives us so many varieties which we present in concerts, or we also learn through our, as a student, that is there.
Now, shall we move on to Kannada?
Kannada, of course, there are so many dasars who have contributed again. Yes, the Kuta dasas, the whole clan, so many are there. Of course, Purandar Dasa was most important. Yadavani ba Yadukula Nandana Madhava Madhusudana Baro. That also reminds me of Hindi. नैनन में सिया राम तुलसी, नैनन में सिया राम बसो जी मेरे, जनक नंदिनी जगत बंदिनी, रघुनायक घनश्याम, नैनन में सिया राम.
That was fantastic. I think we have just covered as a national integration. So music binds everything. And how about film music? How that nada gets transported via this beautiful ragas? Just a sample. It can be even old or latest one.
Film music again is a different genre, but again that's also very beautiful in
Definitely,
the sense
definitely.
of bringing out the beauty. Of course, many old timers would say that the classical music was more predominant in earlier
Sure,
times,
sure.
and things have taken a turn. But we have to accept it because with technology coming in and so many changes coming in, we have to accept the changes. Of course, one song which I really love is "Nee oru kaadal sangeedam, வாய்மொழி சொன்னால் தெய்வீகம், நீ ஒரு காதல் संगीतम. हिंदी. पूछो न कैसे मैंने रैन बिताई, एक पल जैसे एक युग बीता, युग बीते मोहे नींद आए, पूछो न कैसे मैंने रैन बिताई. That was Ahir Bhairav. So everywhere you see that, when you search, as I always say, you seek and you get. So when you seek it, you definitely get it in any music, whatever it be, film, folk, or whatever it is.
So irrespective of the genre, it all depends on the presentation.
Yeah, very much.
And listeners, to conclude our talk show, we'll just move on to the last piece. How this harmonious convergence of Nada and Raga. We'll just conclude it with Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shujalang, Shubhalam, Malaya Shitalam, Shashya Shyamalang, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsna Phulakitayamini, Phullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini, Sumadurabhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
That was awesome, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And that was Dr. Radha Bhaskar, a musicologist, teacher, and a journalist. She was interviewed by Shri Shankar Venkatraman, a music enthusiast, titled The Harmonious Convergence of Nada and Raga. This program came to you from the studios of Akashvani, Chennai.